just had a few questions for you. It's what I'm really trying to do is just get an outline of what Pelle's life was like. But not only that, get a background of what the lives were like of the people who were around him as well. And obviously you were right in the middle of that, so you walked into an unbelievably difficult time.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Well, I'm sure. I can't imagine what that would be like. I mean, I can't think of anybody who started a sports career, which is pressure enough, to be behind that kind of situation. That's just amazing.
Yeah, I look back and I go, that wasn't your normal coming into the league type. It was just, there's a death, and then not only a death, he was probably the best goaltender in the NHL at the time.
Right.
So, all these factors, playing against the Oilers, so all these factors.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's also amazing even the year before. I remember that. I was 10 years old. I remember watching that game where you played your first game against the Islanders.
Yep.
They threw you into a rough situation there, too. I mean, they were four-time defending champions. They just lost the cup.
Yeah.
And your first taste of the NHL was to jump in against Trache, Bassi.
Yeah, I know, and they apparently lost a few games, and it was just, I always say sometimes there's no good time, but there's some difficult times, but I always believe that, hey, at least it's opportunity, and a lot of guys would never get the opportunity, so.
Yeah. No,
I gotta look at it that way.
Yeah, but your first two games, unbelievable, against the Islanders and then the Oilers. And then under the situations, it's like...
Yeah, it was tough.
Not the way you want to start it, I'm sure.
No.
Well, one of the first questions I have for you, what was your relationship with Pelle?
Well, I never hung with him.
Okay.
But the year before I was up officially, I backed him up, I think, around 20 games, 25 games, just backed him up straight. And I got to know him, but I don't know, goalies, most time when you're at that level, goalies don't usually, you're in a pretty stiff competition no matter what, if it's a number one or...
Sure.
But I didn't know him as close. I think he, being from Sweden, I think he was hanging more with the Swedish counterparts.
Thomas Eriksson.
Yeah, exactly. That's who I think he was hanging most of the time that I can recall.
Did he try to take you under his wing at all when you first came up, backing him up, or did he feel threatened by you being there?
No, when he was at that point, you can't really threaten him. He was established, and I'm not, and you know what? He didn't show me anything.
Okay.
But he was very nice to me, which is nice, because some guys, you have goalie partners, and some of them don't speak to you, some of them are really nice to you if they're playing, and but he was always nice to me. He was never negative or distant to me, so, and that was nice, and usually that's kind of, for what, I don't know if it's a good way of saying it, but that's the way the Europeans are bred. They just came over and they played. They just had that attitude. It didn't seem like nothing would bother them.
Right, okay.
Whereas we get more flustered over stuff, but they just came over and had fun and played, and so it was very enjoyable working with them.
For those 20 games, and then did he talk to you about the pressures when they get to the finals? I know he hurt his knee and he was out of the final series. You were backing up Bob Froese, right?
Yeah.
Did he talk to you about that situation at all? Obviously he was disappointed that he was out.
No, I didn't. I don't think he discussed it with too many people. When you're at that stage and you're into the playoffs, and you know what, it's probably taboo or a cardinal sin to start discussing that unless they come to you. But I would never go out of my way and say, hey, it's just a big it's the biggest pressure in hockey at that time through the NHL playoffs, and so it's really a tender spot. You just got to watch what you say, and being a rookie, and most rookies, you just keep your nose clean, work your butt off, and you don't until it takes a while. Some guys are a little harder to get to know than other guys, and at the time I was hanging with Zezel and a little bit with Talkett and Doug Crossman. So
the young guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the year before, that year they were rookies, right? 84, 85.
Yeah.
What do you remember most about your NHL debut?
Being in Sherbrooke, Quebec. I'm not going to say the debut because I'm pretty well. My memory is mostly the Edmonton game.
Sure.
My second game, but that was when I was in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and they called me up because Bob Froze got hurt or something, and
yep.
I had to drive to. Some guy had to take me to Montreal to the airport. They had a private jet pick me up, and they dropped me off on Thursday morning at early in the morning. They wouldn't let me go on the ice because there was so much press for a pregame skate in the morning, and then I went back to the hotel, and it was just nerves. Just I couldn't even explain. I mean, and they say, "Oh yeah, you did that." And I says, it's a scary feeling when you can't get out of something.
Right? Yeah.
Like I was in it, and I couldn't get out. And I wouldn't wish that kind of circumstance, but it was actually very scary. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
Because you're going against Edmonton. There's a death. Like it was very, very difficult. Like I couldn't have played another game if it was that kind of pressure. But it was that was probably the longest probably day of my hockey career. Just the travel and thinking about it, and playing against Gretzky, and so it was a tough one.
Now you had tremendous success in that game. How did it feel afterwards?
How did I feel afterwards?
After that game was over.
Well, just relieved.
Sure.
It's just I got to be honest. I just want to get through the game. I didn't want to get pulled.
Right.
I just want to get through the game. And I look back, and I've taken a look at some of my footage, and I didn't play a very good game fundamentally or any of that stuff. Not like nowadays, but it was just more adrenaline.
Really?
The team played good. They were always a good team, so they played really gutsy in front.
Yeah, but you were going against. I mean, you had a couple of breakaways too. I remember. Was it Dave Hunter? I think it was. Came in on you on a clean break.
Yeah, it was just. I think it was just total relief. Just thank God this day's over. Because nothing will become as much pressure as this. Like really, you can put me in playoffs and stuff, and I mean, because playoffs you can prep yourself. You've been playing games, but I can never. You can't prepare for that one. Not your first game.
No.
Second game.
The only other person I could think of that might have been in a position similar would be the catcher for the Yankees, who was after Thurman Munson.
For who?
Thurman Munson was catching for the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only other athlete that I can think of, who was in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Just a very awkward situation, I'm sure. How did the team react to you? Were they welcoming? Were they...
Well, I knew them the year before.
Right.
So I knew a lot of the guys. So, and that obviously helped.
Sure.
I didn't... It would have been tougher if I was coming in from the International League at the time, or, then if you didn't know anybody, and that would have been... that would have just been terrible. But all the guys are good. When you get to that level, guys like Mark Howe, Tim Kerr, they're all first class.
Right.
And Jay Poulin, and, it was just, they made me feel really comfortable, and that was huge. It was very important.
For, I'm sure, not only that game, but I guess all the rest. Would you play 29, I guess, that year?
Yeah. Then I I don't know. They just made a move, and they wanted to get some experience in.
Right.
And I just think after that, when they set me down, I just kind of lost my confidence.
I was going to ask you about that too.
I just lost my confidence and kind of, all the above. Feel sorry for yourself, which I shouldn't have. I look back, it's all opportunity, but
Sure.
And then they traded me, and I just.
You went to Vancouver, correct?
Yeah, I got traded, but that was a tough situation. Once again, my heart wasn't into it. Like, I didn't think I could. Once I got back to the minors, I thought I was just done.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think I could get back up. Because goaltending, if your confidence is tweaked at all, and it's a different confidence. I was very confident in the American League, but then I was, playing under Keenan and that.
Yeah.
You don't know whether you're actually a pretty good goalie or terrible. You don't know, not the way he handles stuff, right?
Well, he went with really ride one goaltender, right? I mean, that was his.
That's what he liked to do.
Right. I mean, he even did that in '85-'86 when he wrote Bob Froese.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said relationships between goaltenders is not always the best. Was it any different with Bob Froese? Did he try to help you out through that situation, or?
Well, I just felt that Bob was nice to me and everything, but I just felt when I'd start playing a few more games, maybe be a little more competitive, I kind of felt that he didn't talk to me as much.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt at the time.
And I know...
they're your best buddy when they're playing.
Right.
And then when you play, so I don't... But he was nice to me. He was always nice to me. And just, people change sometimes.
Sure, as you go through and you're, like you said, as you're playing more. How much less was the pressure once you got past that first game, or was it just a constant?
How much pressure?
Well, yeah. I mean, how much different? I know you said the first game was unbelievable. I mean, the amount of pressure, like you said, you can never play under those conditions for the few games. But once you got past that first game, what was the pressure like?
I felt fine because I remember I got to play a bunch of them in a row after that.
Right.
So I felt okay, but no, I didn't feel not as much pressure as before. But the problem I had was I was going to say the problem was more. Our team was at that time, and it's not like nowadays, but at that time, if you lost a game, the owners are in, Snyder's, Clark. If you lost a game,
Right.
like everybody's paranoid. Everybody. Seriously, like it was, you don't lose. Like it's not like now. Like, you win one, you lose one. It's not even close.
Well, Keenan was a taskmaster, right? I mean, he was unbelievably tough, especially on goaltenders.
Yeah.
I mean, had you seen his reaction with Pelle in '84-'85? I mean, how did he react with Pelle?
Well, he loved Pelle.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, he loved him more than his wife at the time. But no, he did. Recording that. No, but he loved him. Well, Pelle played was his man, right?
Right.
But
was he just rough on?
I kind of, with Keenan, I disagree with. How do I word it? I disagree with how he handled a lot of the guys, but I found him, he was a very, very good coach. And, he just, he gave me opportunity. You know, I was there, and he just pushes guys, and
Right.
he doesn't push guys the way you would normally push a guy. Like he'll rip you apart, or
Oh, sure.
he'll do whatever he can to try to motivate you. That's his idea of motivation.
Right.
I, you know, feeling the pressure, but I don't think at that time Philly was always winning. They were always at the top.
Right.
And that's the way it was going to be. And you know, we would lose 2-1 or something. If we won 3-1 or something, they'd come into me, press, and say, "What happened on that goal?" Like, you know what I mean? Like we won.
Right.
But
Like you're supposed to pitch a shutout every night.
it was definitely, yeah. It's not like that nowadays.
And you know what? It's a much more higher scoring NHL at that time than it is today.
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. Like, I literally had no instruction.
Really? Even Bernie Perrott?
Nothing.
Really?
Bernie showed me one type of save that he did. That's it. But
Wow.
I got nothing. You either stop pucks, you're in. If you don't, you're gone. And so, you know, I say in those days, you're basically going on your knowledge or whatever, but I got no instruction. None.
Wow.
Absolutely zippo. And I look back and fuck, if somebody would have worked with me, but that's everybody, right? It's all relevant, right? Because nowadays, all these kids they get more instruction at 10 years old than I ever got my whole life. But,
Wow.
More kids are playing, their equipment's better. You know, I just, it was actually tough. It was higher scoring, but you'll see nowadays with the way things are, you're going to see all the goalies, everybody's GA's way higher now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, look at Brodeur. He's given up 5 goals in two games already this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. But I mean, even when Lindbergh won the Vezina Trophy, I think his goals against average was .302.
Yeah.
.302 2 years ago would have put you in the minors.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like you couldn't even 302's not even in. Yeah, exactly. You're nail on the head. You'd be in the minors.
Oh yeah, and that's a Vezina Trophy winner in 20 years before.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a changing game. Did you see a difference between the team from 84, 85 to 85, 86? I mean, everybody talks about the closeness. Pelle's death brought the team closer together. Did you see that?
I think the team was always pretty close.
Right.
Keenan had everybody pretty regimented and going in the same direction. And I think I didn't see a big difference. I just saw more confidence. Where I seen the difference was when they started dismantling. From me, then they got rid of. They just froze. They just started getting rid of all the guys.
Right.
And at that time, they were still, everybody. It was still a really good team, but they started, and then Brad McCrimmon. Everybody started dropping off. They started just.
That was the death
knell. It was just something that wasn't broke.
Right.
You can make some changes, right? But
right.
But I think they just dismantled too fast.
Sure.
And I thought then after that, they didn't recover.
No, it took a long time.
You just do 1 or 2 guys if you're bringing in or something like that. But I think I'd be curious to see within a year or two how many guys were gone. Like just everybody. They just dismantled the team. But
what was your relationship with Clarkie?
He's the same. He's a god in Philadelphia.
Sure.
He's everybody respected him, and he was when he comes in. It was just at that time you don't lose.
Sure.
You're devastated if you lost. The team losing wasn't in the vocabulary.
Right.
And I thought that was a neat attribute to have.
Is that a positive thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just we don't accept losing,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's different for everybody.
So you think it was better in that day?
Absolutely. I just think if they push you where, you don't lose. It pushes you to the max.
Right.
Everybody's got to play. You got a job, and I think it was good. They instilled that. Just anybody can lose, but
right.
I think that was their biggest thing. Is they were strong, and if you lost the game, God damn it, the owners were in there. It was like a morgue.
Was it like Ed Snyder or Jay Snyder mostly? Because Jay's the president at that time, is that right?
I think Ed would come down.
Ed would.
Yeah. But if they came down,
heads are going to roll.
Yeah, they don't even have to say anything to you. They just look. They don't even look at you.
Wow. Now, you weren't around, I guess, for the Rangers series that year, right? I mean, I guess Chico Resch was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you know? Did you talk to any of the guys about what kind of a disaster that? I mean, was that really because of Pelle's death, or is that just because the Flyers ran into a real hot John Van Beesbrook?
Yeah, they just ran into a hot goalie.
You think that's really the reason? It had nothing to do with Pelle's death.
I mean, it's a catch-22. You're losing the best goalie in the NHL.
Right.
Teams play different in front of goalies. That's just a given.
Sure.
You can't convince me they don't play the same. The guys handle the puck better, like Hextall. They play a different game.
Right.
They know that they don't have to fly back into their end because this guy can handle the puck better than most of the guys on the team, like a Hextall.
Right.
Pelle didn't handle the puck, but no, it wasn't a factor, but you could use it as a factor.
The emotional strain wasn't a factor.
Van Beesbrook was just at the top of his game, and team was still good and strong.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, right? It's all hindsight. If Pelle would have been in there.
Do you think the team had confidence in Bob Froese, or do you think that the team played, like you're saying, maybe more defensively? Maybe they didn't rush the puck as much.
Bob played really good.
He led the league in almost every category.
Yeah, he played. I thought they never gave him the credit that he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always playing steady,
Right.
very steady goaltender. And that's the team's fault if they can use that as a crutch. But everybody's professional, and after a couple of weeks after his death, everything was cooled back to normal.
So pretty quickly.
Yeah, time heals.
Right.
But Bob came in and did great, and they just got outplayed by a goaltender. That's all. That's what usually comes down to in playoffs, anyways. Goalies.
Right. And they did. They had trouble scoring. I remember even on the power play, they couldn't get anything. I mean, he was unbelievable in that series. And it was neat. I don't know if you remember Van Beesbrook. Did you think he deserved the Vezina Trophy that year, or you think Froese should have gotten it?
I'd probably lean at Bob.
Because he led in every category.
Yeah, there was a good team in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to backstop. You still have to, he's very consistent. I personally thought he should have won.